That was very clutch. Thank you very much. All right. Well, you're going to be the clicker. We'll do leaderboards together. How does that sound?
Do it.
You get to be wingman to me. This is like a first. I actually get a wingman today. Usually I'm Spivey's wingman, but you get to be my wingman. But let's jump into these leaderboards. We love celebration, right? Was talking to Meredith and Whit and Doug today just about gratitudes, and we love celebrating. We want to have I always say gratitude is the attitude that sets the altitude for living, right? Our thankfulness is the pathway to so much. So let's check out these top 10 new writers. There's some amazing numbers coming already. Let's go number 3. We've got Chadrick Pennicott, number 2, Willie Fields, and number 1 with 8722. Congratulations to Joseph Kaznecki. That's a great top 10 new writer count. Go ahead on the producers, Ditz, and why don't you knock the top 3 out here?
All right. We got number 3, Kenneth Kuhn. Number 2, James Rustman. And number 1, Saltrice Hightower at 31,534. That's some great APV.
Absolutely. How about our top 10 for app count for the week? Chad Parker. And we got tied for second. There you are, Victoria. Good to chat with you this week. Victoria Shue. Saltrice Hightower at 17. And Ashley Richard, I think, is number 1 with 27. Even from, actually, I don't know if those are apps from Alaska. That's this week, but congrats to her on the tear.
Great job. All right. Top Medicare producer, we've got number 3, Anthony Azar at 764, Chelsea Rice at 1635, and Kevin Albers at 5849.
All right. Top 5 disability income producers. We got number 3. Who wants to load? I might have a delay. Samantha.
It's a little bit of a delay going on here.
All right. That's all right. Tokars, Rob Purley. Hey, Rob. And number 1, Jeffrey Wietenheimer with 1,038 in APV.
All right. Then we have top 5 IUL producers. Number 3, Alexandria Nolan at 18,600. Number 2, Manny Manuel at 18,802. Number 1, Saltrice Hightower at 28,014.
Saltrice just all over the leaderboards this week. Impressive. All right. Top 5 annuity producers. Lauren Bright-Kreutz with 216,990. Gail Green at 285. And Phyllis Davis with quite a bump there. 467,727 for annuity production face amount. Boom.
Almost a $500,000. It's a good one.
It is a good one.
All right. Top 5 debt-free life producers. So number 3, LaShawn Toyer at 12,316. Number 2, Ike Manulo at 12,337. And number 1, Kenneth Kuhn at 54,946. There's some APV for you.
I feel like there was a Kuhn on the Packers that whenever he rushed or whatever, the whole Packers stadium would go Kuhn. I wonder if there's any relation. Packers fans, shout out if you know. Base Shop, top Base Shop new writers, Mike and Sarah Pappas, Marty Valor, Jose Martinez, all tied at 4. And for the directs, we got Danny Young at 12, Jamie Susi at 13, and Mike and Sarah Pappas at 14.
Great job. All right, SNAs, top Base Shop SNAs. We have number 2, tied number 2, 26 agency owners. And then we have Ashley Tarr and Tyler Harris at number 1. And then on the directs, we've got a tie for third with 13 directs, tied for second with 6 directs. And number 1, Scott Mink. Great job, Scott.
That's so funny. 26 agency owners tied for 1. That's so small. All right, so seasoned new agents, if this is you, congratulations for your hard work. Well-deserved, well-earned. These are folks that you just have set yourself up for a great start. So really grateful for you, grateful for your mentors and the hard work that you've put in. And so congrats. And again, in advance, forgive the pronunciations. It's about 3.4 times harder than it looks to do this. So Cachuela, Terry, Swan, Marble, Peel, Clayton, Miller, Ferrari. Come back to that one in a minute. Yaklave, Howell, Allison, Marandola, Martin, Helms, Kesnecki, Chandler, Mack, Bryce, Ryan, Warren, MS, Flint, Meha, Green, Christ, Villegas, Richards, and Murphy.
Like a pro.
All right. Ferrari, I was just, that reminded me, just since we're tag teaming, never riding Ditson's Ferrari.
Or you should always ride Vince's Ferrari.
Now that was still a harrowing experience to say the least. I almost brought it up on Nate's call when he was talking about his McLaren and speed. And
Oh yeah, me and Nate, we need to cruise around Dallas. I told him I left Dallas too soon for sure. So
yeah,
we'll get them together here. All right. And I am having trouble seeing the top of my darn screen, but we're going to look at weekly leaderboards.
for key leaders.
Key leaders, there you go. Thank you. I can't get rid of the
Yeah,
top.
that's right. Man, that's good. We'll collab. We're
Yeah.
you know, we're helping each other win. That's good. Go for it. You want me to run with it since you got
Yeah,
screen?
please. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, for APV, no problem. Congrats, Heather Morrow coming in at 25,797. Saltrice Hightower at 31,534. Hashtag get that picture in. And Gabrielle and Ike Munello at 32,000 for recruits. Alan Smith, Sue Hinojosa, and Edward Puckett. And for new writers,
It's coming.
it's coming.
There you go.
There we go. Joseph Teachamu. Actually, we got like a four-way tie for second. So I'm going all the way over to Wes Allen, Michael Matthews, Joseph Teachamu, and Jennifer Gray. I recognize some of those names from Key Leader Academy, which will launch again in Q2. And then Christina Watts, 5 new writers for the week. Bravo.
Yeah.
And excellent. Coming up next, we got our agency owner weekly leaderboards. We've got Chad Harrington, Jerry Choate, and Alec Myers topping it off. There we go. Another fellow hockey fan, Alec Myers. Let's see, another tie for third, 3-way tie. Theo Pritchett, Steve Barnett, Courtney Wallace coming in at 6. Ashton Delango Lunde. No problem with that name. Ashton knows that I've got that nailed down. I've never thought that one was that hard. Delango Lunde. It is as it seems, but evidently some people have a challenge with that. And Jerry Choate with 10 recruits. And for new writers, we've got, again, I'm going to just honor the tie here. Justin Elliott, Gabby and Fred Roethlisberger, who I believe are in Hawaii as well right now on the Moo trip. Hashtag tough living. Christopher Smith. And we got Steve Barnett and Kelly Bush with 8 new writers. Kelly, I see your name a lot on that. We've got an AO recruiting dashboard. I know you're doing a great job with your recruiting. Bravo to you. Agency directors, hello, Larry and Ann Griffin coming in at 3, Sarah Reinecke and Ben Safapor, who I owe a text message to. I'll get you at 144. Jose Martinez, Mark Newbauer, and Larry and Ann Griffin coming in on the top of the recruits for the week. And James Larson also crushing it. Ben Safapor and Sarah Reinecke for new writers. Great to see everybody up there today. And the RADs, the regional agency directors for APV on the week. We've got Jamie Susie, Josh and Danielle Hershey, and Eileen Balmer. For recruits on the week, Beth Maddox, hey Beth, Andrew Jimenez, and Jamie Susie. And for new writers, we have Eileen Balmer, Marty Valor, and Jamie Susie. MVP, managing vice presidents, Brad and Kira Gainey. Coming in number 3, John Ziller and Chris Cook. We got Jordan Hunt. I can't, every time that picture just gets me. I don't always show up on the leaderboard, but when I do, it's with authority. Love that. Jordan Hunt, Griff Martin, one of our incredible directs I've gotten a lot of conversation with this week, and Chris Cook at 36. And there he is again, Griff Martin, Jordan Hunt, and Chris Cook coming in on the new writers. Chris Clark's up there too. You know, since he's leading the call, I saw his face up there. Great. SVP, Senior Vice Presidents for APV, Mr. Nate Offord, who crushed it on the Builders call today. Thanks again for your wisdom and insights, your ability to communicate. Spiel Denner Financial Group and Tony Cap, 145. For recruits, George and Janet Matthews, Mike and Sarah Pappas, and Tony Cap. And for new writers, George and Janet Matthews, Spiel Denner Financial Group, and Mike and Sarah Pappas. Great to see everybody on that SVP list. The EVPs, Executive Vice Presidents. For APV, Miranda Martin, Darren Stubbs, Scott Mank. Darren Stubbs, Scott Mank, Sean Shannon with 15 recruits. And Sean Shannon, Miranda Martin, Scott Mank. Shout out to Sean for contributing to some updates we're doing to Summit right now and Base Camp, and really appreciated your insights. Ziller, too, appreciate you, man. It was fun to get some collab time with you guys last week. Associate partners. We've got Ashley and Tyler Harris, Ryan and Michelle Miller, and Lynn Watkins coming in at 639. Not a bad week, I would say. For recruits, Ashley and Tyler Harris, Ryan and Michelle Miller, and Lynn Watkins. Oh, we're setting it up for a turkey, as we say. Oh, there we go. Messed it up a little. Lynn Watkins with 3, coming in at third with 14. New writers, Ashley and Tyler Harris, and Ryan and Michelle Miller. Senior partners for the week, we've got the Smith Agency and Danny Young, topping it at 587. Smith Agency and Danny Young again, 33 recruits. And drum roll, please, let me guess, Smith Agency and Danny Young, 27 new writers. I could have predicted that one. Managing partner for the week, we've got Jacob Pogue, Edward Pritchett, popping that $1 million mark, and Marshall Whalen coming in at 1.4 million on the week. That's incredible. I always, those are getting into numbers where I'm sure if Spivey or the guys were here, I'd be like, is that a record? Seems like a lot to me from my point of view. I don't always stay in the constant detail.
That's a lot of premium.
Let's just say that. I'll be a simple man. I am a simple man at the end of the day. That's a lot of premium. So is 37 recruits and 59 recruits, and 94 recruits is a lot of recruits. And how about these writers? We've got Pogue at 29, Pritchett at 32, and Whalen at 53. I mean, gosh, incredible numbers for everybody up there. Delaney, Purdy, all incredible to see the top leaders in their company and all the hard work you've done to build your businesses and the great results and rewards you're getting to experience. How about for these directs on the week? We've got for APV, Carl Miller, did a great job last week on a call. Scott Mink and Kevin Purdy topping it off. Hey, now to you. And Edward Pritchett with 17 recruits, Jacob Pogue with 31, Chris Cook with 36, and new writers, Mr. Danny Young, Jamie Susie, and Mike and Sarah Pappas, 12, 13, 14. For base shops, Ashley and Tyler Harris, senior names up here a lot. John Paul Vetter at 50. Oh man, that's a close eight buck chuck race right there. and Jamie Susie barely eking it out, but still, nevertheless, on the top of the base shop leaderboard. Lots of writers in that base shop. It's fun. We're going to get to hear at Leader Summit from JPV about base shop and Jamie Susie. So really fun to be able to see that up here. Yeah, I'm here from Ashley as well, Pritchett as well. For recruits, we got Jose Martinez, Rob Puckett, and Mark Newbauer. New writers, Mike and Sarah Pappas. Oh, we gotta do the whole sweep here. James Larson, seen your name a lot on some of our background dashboards too, with 3 new writers. Ashley and Tyler with 3. Mike and Sarah Pappas and Marty Valor and Jose Martinez tied for number 1 at 4 new writers.
Moved ahead a little bit.
Yeah, that's all right. See, now it's being too responsive, Tell me, Ditson, who needs more leads?
Everybody could use more leads.
I do. I love it. Increase your lead flow. Increase your lead flow by adding the following states to your lead orders today. And certainly it's really helpful for everybody to get a point of view on that. You can take a look, take a screenshot for you if you want to remember this. I'll give you another second with it. I won't read the list, but you can see from Indiana. I used to actually live in the great state of Indiana, Lafayette, Indiana, good state to live in years ago, all the way to Kentucky. So,
good old Texas, man. Texas never lets you down.
Yeah.
Love me some Texas.
Yeah. Love, listen, the work that's being done, if you're new to the company or you've been around for a while, the work that's being done by, even our Maitland and the historic leads team, and then Sam and his role, and just the data team, just exceptional stuff. I mean, we're really excited about what's happening there. More to come. Next slide. Dun, dun, dun. The Fall Classic top 20 leaderboards. How hard will you work to qualify for our biggest contest ever, aka the biggest contest in the history of the universe in this industry? There are people working very hard for it. Let's check out the current state of the league.
Like this is giving us a nice sheen.
Yeah. I see that. Oompa Loompa orange hue. All right, look at these numbers.
Man.
Yep, these are submit numbers, right? This is
right.
going to be based on placed ultimately, but leading indicator. It's a good business metric term for you to be aware of, a leading indicator. So the submit production is the leading indicator of net place. So that's the indicator that you track for the lagging indicator of net place production. That'll come as the business places, and we get that data from carriers.
Look at those numbers too. That's a lot of production in a very short amount of time. Whether submit or place, that's a lot of production. There's no joke there.
Yeah, you know that Van Dusen guy, don't you?
I'm familiar with him.
Yeah.
That guy's no joke.
Yeah, I mean, all of these, Rex and Marshall, good stuff.
Yeah.
And Ashley, of course, and everybody on the list. All right, well, this has been actually kind of fun. Hopefully we haven't crossed any lines of we like to have fun and get stuff done. It's one of our core values, and for as hard as everyone works around here, it's really cool to have fun. So I've liked seeing those pictures, but please, we'll linger on this slide for a moment and say, if you are on a leaderboard and you're missing a headshot, this is the time to scan that code and grab that smartphone and go ahead and upload that headshot. And it'll take a couple of weeks to process. So if you've done it and you're wondering why you still have one of the characters from The Office as your headshot, it's because there's a little bit of a delay, but we'd love to get that from you and look forward to seeing the real you. We want the real you.
I just wanted to take several photos of Spivey in different phases and outfits and positions, and just use different versions of Spivey, but we do want your wonderful headshot.
That's a great idea.
Reflecting you accordingly.
It's a great idea. Yeah, speaking of Spivey, it was not hard to, so happy for him and Resma and others that are enjoying this carrier trip. He called me, not to rub it in, although he did send me some pictures of the beautiful Hawaiian tropics. Well, you want to talk through this one for us, Ditson?
How does conservation benefit you? Well, hopefully a lot of you were able to watch the Talk Talks this past Friday. But as you know, we really put an emphasis on conservation, and it's not because we write bad business, right? There's a lot of different reasons we feel that this is a huge benefit and value to not only you as agents and agency owners and Quility as a whole in Symmetry, but also with our relationships with carriers. This is one thing that the carriers jump all over. The fact that we do this when no other organization does just shows you and shows them how much effort we put into making sure that we write quality business, that we ensure that our clients have protection in place now, as well as in the future, right? Because the insurance only works if it's in force, which means it has to be paid for. And a lot of these things that happen, once again, it's not because we put the person in the wrong product. The majority is bank changes, right? And that just means life changes. So make sure that you visit HQ. As we ramp this up, we're going to talk a lot more about it throughout this year because we're putting more efforts to it. We're utilizing more technology and better data in real time to make sure that we're touching these clients before these things lapse out. We want to support and conserve the efforts that you all put in because we know how hard it is to write the business. We don't want to stop doing the things that are important in making sure that the client understands what they have, understands that they're happy with what they have, and that they can afford it today, they can afford it tomorrow through tax season, birthdays, Christmas, so on and so forth. But make sure you visit HQ to see the policies that are getting saved on your end. It's a great way to track and ensure that you may need to reach out to those clients and re-engage and make sure life's still in a great spot for them. Plus, they probably love to hear from you.
Yeah, love this. Love it. Thanks. Great summary. I know you're, in your role, you get to be in the loop on all that. So lots of fun to see that. Yeah. And just always, it always feels good to know that people have your back and, there's really those people that are for what you're for, and those are fun people to be around. They're with you for a little while, right? They're for what you're for. Then there's people that are against what you're against, and so they're with you until the battle and the victory happens, and then they're gone. And there's just people that are for you, right? Fighting for your highest possible good. And you're one of those people that are for others and serving the agents, and grateful for all you're doing back there too. So fun to hear you. I will tell you again, Lighthouse Leads now in beta. It's going to be a new high quality lead source, verified with the latest tech and tested in-house. And gosh, I mean, this is like, massive top priority for our company this quarter, once again. And just how about if I just say get ready? And we want to be careful. We want to not overpromise and underdeliver on anything, right? That can happen as leaders. We get really excited about things, but the capabilities that we have in-house now with data and with industry knowledge and technology and all the marketing pieces, get ready. It's looking good. I don't know, Ditson, if you have anything specific on this too from conversations you've been a part of.
Yeah, there's some great information on this. Now I can't speak to a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
Don't let the cat out of the bag. But what
Right.
I can tell you, for me, what I like the most out of, and kind of when I judge a lead in say its quality, is responsiveness, right? Engagement. When you go through leads that don't engage in any form or fashion, that makes it really tough to make any kind of forward movement. What I can say is the engagement has been phenomenal on these leads, because we are in beta, we are testing them in-house. So we're seeing some really great engagement. So excited for this to come down the pipe.
Excellent. And no, I saw the comment that they're not replacing Razor Ridge leads. We're still, just again in our portfolio of leads, if you will. It's not replacing that, but just complementing, right?
Yeah, complementary.
I was talking to Brad Smith yesterday about being a leader who complements instead of competes with, right? Sometimes, when you're in peer-to-peer relationships, we tend to compete with each other, and instead of complementing each other. And we all need a healthy dose of competition, but completing each other, right? That's so it's completing our portfolio. It's rounding it out. It's adding to. Okay, so for all of you that qualified for the Symmetry Leader Summit and Spring Fling, we can't wait. I think we'll just say, get ready. It's next week. We're going to be on site in Asheville together and talking about all kinds of specific things around just the symmetry world. Like, I think y'all are going to be really encouraged and inspired. Lots of celebration, lots of time hearing from people that are doing it. And Casey and I were talking this week, and he was really pushing on. We're going to get some nuts and bolts insights from our practitioners, our experts. So just get ready. Super pumped. Head HQ for more details if you're heading there. Next slide, Ditson.
And maybe just bring a jacket with you. The weather's been a little up and down, a little cold. It's been beautiful. It's nice. Man, she's chilly.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm here from Michigan saying, it's been cold. It's been cold in Asheville.
It has been. From California. Come on, man.
I know. Meanwhile, it snowed in Michigan yesterday. Shout out to all my Michiganders. All right. Yeah. Spring Fling. That's a part of it next week too, right? We have fun and get stuff done. So day one, we're going to get stuff done. It'll be fun too, but lots of fun, volleyball. And I even hear rumors of things like, what's it called? Human battleship. I mean, that's actually a sport I feel like I can even play. So if I can just sign up for that, I'm all in. I'm all in. All right. What else we got? We good?
Did it?
Oh, agenda. Let's actually, because I know there are the people that have been asking. Again, you can all see on Tuesday, if you're coming, we'll be in the Thomas Wolfe Auditorium. Should be able to be found in your Waze app or Google Maps or Apple Maps. My son Micah uses Apple Maps, and I've hardly ever used it. And like, who uses Apple Maps? I'm not sure that's a big widespread thing, but he does. But put it in there. I'm sure you'll find it. 11 o'clock check-in and vendors open to attendees at 11. We'll see there. I'll be there plenty early just to hang out, grab coffee and enjoy. Doors open to the theater at 12:30. 1 o'clock, the event begins. 7 o'clock. How about if I say 7 o'clock-ish? All of you that have been around, 7 o'clock-ish, the event ends. I wouldn't be making any formal plans right at 7, but we'll do our best. And then the Spring Fling next day at the Highland Brewing Company 2:30 p.m. doors open for attendees of Spring Fling, and 7 o'clock ish the event ends. But that'll be kind of a drop in. I know that those of you that are doing volleyball and things like that, there's scheduled times that will all go out in the Quality Agent Events app. So we want to make sure you download that. I think that might even be the next slide. Could be wrong, but there he is. Yeah. So if you have not, even for those of you that have not done this, it's just good to have ready for conference and such. You're going to go in the Apple Store or on Google Play. And I know our events team have worked really hard, and marketing and others on the Quality Agent Events app. So go ahead and add that to your phone. That's your one-stop shop for event notifications, directions, agendas. There's probably more in there than you're even aware of in the Quality Agent app. So we'll be using that next week.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Drum roll, please. Anything else?
I see the announcement.
Right. I do see the announcement.
Mine's lagging, apparently. Yeah.
No, it's fine. Yeah, check your email, switchboard feedback survey live. Help us help you. Please complete your thoughtful responses by March 19th. So that's 4 days. And I was reviewing the deck before the call, and I thought about this one, and just really thankful for everybody that does participate and respond to surveys. As we grow together as an organization, and as we want to get better data, that is something that I just want to ask of you. And really, the quicker and the more people participate, right? Quality of response. I appreciate the switchboard team or the marketing team putting thoughtful responses, like that matters. But surveys really, really matter. I mean, they actually drive decisions. As a data-driven company, and as growing in that area, right, becoming smarter to be able to make quicker, better decisions. Please respond to those. I know that there's a danger of what researchers call like survey fatigue. You're like, great, another survey. But I'm just going to ask y'all to lean into any surveys that are sent out. They are actually very, very important, and they inform major decisions. So thank you for participating in those, and please take those thoughtfully and seriously. I know the switchboard team will value that as well.
Yeah, and just to add to that, you're so right, Brian. This is one of those organizations that values the feedback, right? It's not just, this isn't just an action that takes place on a specific cadence, right? We truly want to hear your voice. This is a great platform to hear your voice because you're a large team. So this is the best way for us to identify the things that are coming up most frequently, so we can turn those knobs and make what we're doing the best, most effective platform we can make it. And we want what's best for Switchboard. We take your feedback as a positive. So understand, we want to hear you. We do hear you, and this is going to help us. So please make sure you do look for it in your inbox and complete it as soon as you can. Thank you so much.
You bet. All right, upcoming events, Carrier webinar Thursday, March 16th. That would be tomorrow. Hosted by Liberty Bankers on why you should have LBL's final expense program in your portfolio. FIF resets, that sounds really important and cool. 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon with VP of Advanced Markets, Mr. Jeff Sigworth, and then a DFL 101 call again with Jeff Sigworth on 3 p.m., aka Siggy. And FIF Reset Advanced Market webinar again. Siggy gets the turkey today with him and Director of Retirement Solutions, Mr. Nate Burks. And that'll be on Tuesday, March 21st. So all sorts of good stuff. Again, for, if you're newer, check with your upline on attending certain things. That's always helpful. Just because we're offering webinars doesn't mean you need to be on every single webinar, right? So there's certain calls like this one that are central. There's certain agency calls that happen in your world that are required, important for all the great reasons of staying informed and connected, but you don't have to be on every single thing. So it's always good to check with your mentor and say, hey, I'm thinking about going to this. Is that a good decision for me right now? That's an important step. All right, super grateful. Well, I'm going to bring back on Mr. Chris Clark, and excited for you and team. Now, just a couple things. Chris, just listen, beyond the wall without even trying, just good overall human. I appreciate you. I respect the way that you process things. I mean, we have had a long-standing relationship pre my Symmetry Quility
Symmetry. Yeah.
Pre-Quility, not pre-Symmetry. But, you know, I was thinking about you, and, you know, if we know from leadership research, the essence of really great leadership is making sound judgment calls, right? And there's a lot behind that statement. To be able to make the right decisions when things are ambiguous or not clear, or you know, when they're difficult. Like, there's a range of decisions, right? Some decisions are easier than others, but at the heart of it, we have to be people who understand all the dynamics of a situation and how do you make sound decisions. And man, every time I've gotten to process things with you, you've been able to demonstrate really that essence of great leadership, which is sound judgment and thinking, you know, well about things, and being able to say, if you're you know, you're not going to be right all the time, but you're able to actually embrace the correction or embrace the other people's perspective. So I appreciate that. And from a metrics perspective, just looking back at your history here, you know, 2016 started in August, did about 86 grand. 2017 key leader of the year with 472,000. I mean, for those of you on the call, think about business growth, and a little bit tied into what Nate was saying on the builders call. Like, this is an incredible opportunity, and you don't get many opportunities like this. I would also argue from an entrepreneurial franchise model, we're not a franchise, but just that whole stream of businesses that exist in the country. Thinking through this opportunity in this industry, the growth potential, what you can do. I mean, in your second year to do 472, your 2018 to do 1.2, 2019 to do 1.4, 2020 1.6, 2021 2.9, and last year 4.4, and you're on track this year to be around projecting 6.5 to 7.2 million, with all kinds of clear goals for this year, which is a lot of fun. Seeing you with your strategy brain on. You're such a good strategist. You know, excited about the momentum you have and your growth right now, and just overall how you do the business as well, and the values that you live and what you model for us. And we've gotten to have lots of conversations, and I always value those, and just celebrating you and your the consistency of, you know, if I want a good sound leadership perspective, you're on the short list of people that I call. So excited for you and the team, man. Let's
I don't know how I'm gonna live up to that. Like, you know, we get on these calls and people get so like nervous and anxious, and like the emotions rise up, and I'm like, yeah, I got this, I'm not gonna be emotional. And then I walk in and you like hit me with that. It out of like, I mean, there's literally number of people I could count on my, you know, one hand that could like say that type of thing that would like get me right there in the feels. And I feel the same way about you. For those of you guys who don't know, like, Brian was my OG giant, right? Like, he was my personal coach, especially like when I was going through it. I would say of the people who have had the, you know, some of the most impactful, meaningful conversations, not only at work, but just in my life, like you were very much one of those people on that short list. And never have shied away from being able to rumble with me, but from a place of like care and consideration, right? It's never personal.
No,
right?
we have such fun rumbles and conversations. It's so good, yeah. Honestly. I hope everyone, we want to cascade that, right? There's a way to rumble that's really just not fun and not life-giving. But again, if we go back to like, there's people that are, you know, they're for what you're for. There's people that are against what you're against, but people that are for you, when you have that genuine understanding, they're just a lot of fun, honestly. It depersonalizes it appropriately, right? Because we're, at the end of the day, at the best, we're trying to help each other win and protect more families, make an impact in people. Whit asked me that on the Ripple Instagram live stream, like, what does thriving here mean for you? And I think it's so much about the kind of conversations we have. I would put that in the bucket. It's just about taking initiative to make a positive impact in people. And so, yeah.
Appreciate it, cool. Man.
Yeah, rock, man. Excited for you.
Thank you, dude. Well, so I was taking all kinds of notes on things I wanted to comment on. First of all, the names, you guys crushed it. Ferrari, just want to let you guys know that I know a jacuzzi. So not to flex or anything, but I know a jacuzzi. And it like a jacuzzi, which you guys don't know is jacuzzi's the last name, and they're from Little Rock, and so they send their kids to the University of Arkansas. So there you go. That is an actual
Like the actual brand.
yeah. It's like I don't know her. I know her. It doesn't matter. Like friend, very perimeter friend group. But yeah, like I think it's like Lindsay Jacuzzi. I don't know.
That's cool.
Yeah, so there you go. Not to flex or anything, but also speaking of Arkansas, hey, we just won our 48th and 49th national championship track and field dynasty. We swept indoors, men's and women's. So Brandon and Spivey got on here and talk about Alabama. You get on here and talk about Michigan. So I'm just going to get on here and say go Hogs.
I value that because the track and field space is important for me. I love y'all won that. Y'all crush it there for sure. I mean,
we do, man.
Amazing. Nebraska's awesome too.
Hey, listen, Tracktown USA, you can't beat it. Track capital of the world, it's Fayetteville. But real quick, before I get any further into this, and because I'm running this call, and because we're actually going to Summit and Spring Fling, and we're doing all these like Leader Summit things, I just want to take like a PSA for everyone here as I share my screen. I'm doing this not for myself, but for you all. Guys, just a real quick breakdown. This is Chris Cook right here. This is me, Christopher Clark. It's not me. I don't take it personal. I know Cook doesn't take it personal, but we do make fun of you all behind your backs. So just a heads up, we are two different people. And just wanted to take that moment to have an official PSA for everyone who at the urinal wants to be like, hey, Chris Cook, what's your thing? That's not me. That's another one. Also, don't talk to people at the urinal. But there you go. So took care of that. But yeah, let's have the team unveil, as they say here, guys. Let's have you all unveil here. Oh, Mark and Mare, look at that. That is a good look. Raina, JJ. All right. I'm just going to go left to right, no particular order. Mark and Mary, tell us about yourselves. Thank you, BW. He's got to run to a meeting. Tell us about yourselves real quick, just, 15, 20-second introduction, and then we'll do it with everyone else. We'll get to the meat and potatoes of the call here.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Hey, everyone. We are Mark and Mary Cholock, and we have been with Symmetry for a little over 2 years. We both came from a corporate career in pharmaceuticals with about 30 years of combined experience. And pretty much, long story short, lots of long hours, lots of things going on. We wanted a change in our personal lives as well as our professional lives. So here we are. We had a great, I worked at a practice company for about 3 months, and enough to realize that I love serving clients, but enough to realize that it did not have the culture that I was looking for. And then after Mary had applied for a Symmetry job, I ended up responding to it. And after a great interview and realizing what the potential was, here we are.
Love it. Love it. All right. Raina, you're next on my screen. What's up? Who are you? Introduce yourself really quickly.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm here in Southern California. Normally it's sunny here, but for some reason it is raining and cloudy. I've been here at Symmetry for about, actually, Mary, Mark, Janelle, we actually just probably started around the same time. So 2 years and a little something. Relocated here in California from the Hawaii, from the island of Oahu. So representing the Hawaii Symmetry Ohana up there. How's it, guys? I'm just excited to be here and really just lean into what I can share about what I have learned so far with the journey that I have been here. So really excited.
Absolutely. I love it. All right, Janelle. What's up? Happy to have you on here. Introduce yourself, if you don't mind.
Yep, I am Janelle Jamot. Been here just about the same time as Mary, Mark, and Raina. how does that work? We're all accountability buddies too. So it just makes sense that we are all doing the things that we want to do together as a family, as a culture. I'm originally from Long Island, New York. So I'm a Long Island girl. And I'll claim the Caribbean as my home as well. But I'm currently living in South Florida. Like I said, it's been such a great journey here for the past 2 years and some months. Growing a lot here with the Clark team and other mentors that have been obviously helping me through this process since the inception of my first interview here. And I originally actually came from the corporate world as well. So this was a big refresher for me. I worked in health, just like Mary and Mark, actually. I was a project manager in the same field. So that's a little bit about me. I do like to add in the end that I'm a family person. So I do have children, and I see my journey here as a whole, right? So I have 3 kids, a husband, and I just, love being here and being part of everything that we're doing. So thanks, Chris.
Absolutely. Yeah. We just got to go on vacation with you and your family a couple of weeks ago. So
I can't help but notice you have like the pioneer trifecta with Raina and Janelle, the 2 pioneers that I got to know during Key Leader Academy. Now, Mary and Mark, I don't know yet.
Mark is also a pioneer. Mary is a creative connector. So we've got a really healthy blend of not only pioneers, but like the whole spectrum of pioneer voices and health. And then Mary just really keeps us in check with all of that. So it's a fun group.
I'm not surprised. And I mean, Raina and Janelle, rock stars, unbelievable. I loved getting to know them in Key Leader Academy. So much great insight and energy. So now putting it all together now, I'm like, geez, you've got an amazing thing going here.
I'm very lucky. I am very, very lucky. I mean, that we will talk about this, but actually, Brian, you did a really good job of setting up like the pretext of the call here. And you're like, yeah, from a leadership perspective, the ability to think through things, complicated, and the nuance. And we're going to talk about that today around the decision to break through your perceived barriers, the decision to get to another level. And what I think is really interesting, and what I've seen, and basically what I'm currently obsessed with right now, is that successful people here and fulfilled people here, when we have people that are successful and fulfilled at the same time, they have the ability to withhold paradoxes. They have the ability to live in a world where there's contradictions. They have an ability to understand that there are dichotomies, right? One of my favorite, just kind of quippy sayings is there are 2 types of people in the world: the people that think there are 2 types of people in the world and people that don't, right? And it's that, right? It's the people who live in the either or eventually hit a ceiling. They hit a competency ceiling. They hit a dissatisfaction, and they will stay there. And the people who are like, maybe it's not black and white. Maybe it's gray. Maybe they're both true at the same time, and they're in direct opposition of each other. Those are the people who have fun here. Those are people who are fulfilled here. Those are people who are successful. Don't you agree? So yeah, I backed him into a corner of don't you agree? But
me?
Yeah. I want to hear your.
Actually, sorry, I was picking up. I'm like, oh, he really means it. It's not rhetorical. No. Actually, what you're saying is very important. And one of the aspects, if we think about leadership, right, there's the know what, know who, and know how. And I'll talk about this at Leader Summit next week. That know how of leadership is about maturing as a leader, like leadership maturity. It's really vital. And that's a big part of it, is to be able to understand, things that appear contradictory and how to lead into that. And that sounds really abstract right now. I'm sure people are like, huh? But it really matters in the business, because we deal with people, and whether that's even while we're protecting families or in development conversations, we're going to have disagreement, and the ability to actually do that well and recognize that you are going to end up probably still with people that disagree, but how do you move forward together? So I love what you're saying.
100%. Appreciate you. Thank you for letting me throw that one out there, and then you backing me up. So let's get into this. Brenda, I'm going to have you go first because that's how we planned it. I don't even know anything. You're just going to go first here. So if you don't mind, I would love to hear some of your input, some of your perspective on what it has meant to you, what your experience has been, what you have to add value to the entirety of Symmetry around your conversation with, making a decision to break through, right? Because just like we said, like there are obstacles, there are barriers, there are perceived obstacles and barriers, there are slights that can be stumbling blocks, there's the pit of despair, there's all kinds of metaphors and analogies that we can use, but in the end we've seen so much of it is just making a decision. So if you don't mind, like, help fill in here your personal experience, your thoughts, and your opinions around that.
Absolutely. I just want to make sure you can hear me okay?
It's great. Yep.
Okay, okay.
You're spot on. You're spot on. I would have let you know. No, you're great.
Okay, perfect. Well, first of all, please allow me to take this moment and just really thank the founders and really truly amazing leaders here for just creating this platform, right? For us to just make a imperfect messes and to be able to, right, the ability to just show up for ourselves. And coming from decades and decades of the corporate America world, I just really needed that, and I really wanted that type of platform. So I can tell you, I've never regretted to make that decision of just jumping right in to this opportunity. So just a little bit about me. Like I said, I'm actually born in Japan. I grew up mostly in California and Hawaii. I consider both of those places my home. Just recently, right before the pandemic hit, relocated here to California from Hawaii due to my husband's job. And we got here and everything shut down. Shut down. My husband got furloughed for one entire year. And just a little bit about right before moving to California, I was coming from a hotel industry. And everybody knows what that looks like in the hospitality world. My husband and I both come from that industry. We worked 70, 80 hours a week. I loved my job, but there's just one thing that kind of changed within me when I first had my child, my son, Kaisen. And at that time, my perspective had changed, right? I loved my job. I love that identity of me, professional, but I was battling with that, being a new mom, right? Dropping my son off when he's only 3 months old to a daycare, and I go do my work and go pick him up, and I'm thinking, I felt guilty, to be very transparent, right? And I didn't want to feel guilty of being able to do that, or just leaving work a little early because I gotta go pick him up, right? I didn't want to create that reason or excuse, I guess people would say, to, hey, I'm gonna go, right? So when we moved here to California, I had the chance to really think through, where do I want to go right next? Lucky me, I had a little bit of time to think about that. But when my husband got furloughed, I was like, oh, now I really gotta go find a job because I gotta make that income. Just fast forward, I was looking at Indeed, and I actually watched Brad Smith and Matt Smith's video. And to be quite honest with you guys, I didn't even know it was selling insurance. They sold me on their vision. They spoke to my heart. And for some reason, there was something inside of me like, hey, if they could do it, why can't I? So I made a decision of hey, I'm going to go to an interview. Had an interview with you, Chris, first time, right? And then
So let's pause right there, because I think I want to publicly roast myself. It was the worst interview, without any exaggeration, that I've ever done, ever. I had a migraine. It was like 5:30 on a Friday. We just talked about surfing for 30 minutes. And then I forgot to send a follow-up. So as a testament to Rena, the culture is so good with Symmetry also that she still was here. She still stuck around. She still stayed. She was still interested when an absolute lunatic just bombed an interview. So I want to publicly thank you in front of as many people as possible for still being here.
No, I mean, yeah, you said that you were gonna send me the follow-up and I never got it, but I knew how to get to that link of Calendly. So I just like, hey, you know what? He said he wanted to talk to me again. I'm just gonna book myself a second interview. So had on a second interview. I was like I said, I was very moved by that video and also the company core value. And I said, you know what? This is kind of where I want to be. But I think probably right, like most of people, I was very skeptical. So coming in, I jumped right in, again, making that decision that, hey, you know what? I'm going to just try it out. I'm going to put 120%. I'm going to stay here for 3 months and see if it works. If it doesn't, hey, no worries, right? I will just go ahead and maybe go back to the hotel industry, what I'm good at doing, what I know, what I know what I'm doing. So I just made that decision. Fast forward 90 days, passed, and I didn't never look back. I think for some people's eyes, I think I did pretty well in the beginning, probably the first 6 months. I hit the biggest production of the month so far, that first 6 months. I joined the 10,000K, right, the club, and I was so excited. But I think that's when, towards the end of 2021, the reality hits, right? And I know, Chris, you're talking about this paradox, but the Stockdale paradox that really spoke to me. It's of, we're so good with associating with the people the masterminds, right? Or people with vision, right? Our dreams and hopes. And we get really, we feel really good about it, right? When we think about our dreams and hopes and our visions, where we want to go, all that good stuff. At that time, my son was just turning 3, and I had to face the reality of I can really do this really good, right? But there are days that he's sick. Well, he can't go to daycare, right? At that time, it's hard for a 3-year-old to just go to daycare from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every day, right? 5 days a week. So, he needed to stay home. And my husband and I are like, hey, who's going to stay home today? Kind of that game. But at that time, it really gave me this frustration of this is where I want to be. I know I can do this, but acknowledging the reality of I want to do this too. It's not like, hey, I don't like my son. I love my son. I want to be fulfilled as being a mom and want to be able to stay at home. Because that's exactly why I decided to come here and take this type of opportunity. So it made me realize, right, the reality versus where I want to go. And that was really tough for me. Really tough for me because I have a really high expectation. I'm a pioneer. I run 120 miles per hour. I don't know how to slow down. I can just, get to that focus and just run with it, right? But now that I think back, it's really one of my a turning point on this journey. And I made a decision to confront that reality and face it. And hey, what can I do? Right? Where can I grow? How can I learn how to really work smart? Right? I can probably do this. This is something I've never done before, but I think I can figure this out. I've done a lot of coaching and mentorship calls with Chris, right? During that time, you said, hey, you just need to work smarter. You just need to learn how to work smarter. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? Tell me how. But I think I've done a lot of reflecting on myself, where I want to go, but what's the reality? And what can I do with the resources and tools that we were provided, right? I've never really used to read books. I mean, I like books, but not to this level. I know I lied in the beginning when, they're like, hey, who reads books? I'm like, yeah, no, not really. I like going to Twitter and reading those things, but But I started to actually read a lot of books. John Maxwell, I mean, his book just really hit home run for me during that the end of 2021 to the beginning of 2022. And I really just, I mean, I made that decision, and I even told Chris, I was like, I'm going to make the decision to really lean on you guys and lean on the amazing leaders that we have here, and just really learn like how to work smarter. At the same time, I started to recruit, which is something that I never really done before. I mean, I've done interviews and conducted interviews, but not like recruited my own team. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And during that time of the learning phase, you know, of course, pioneer here, I got really frustrated, right? For people coming in and they say that they're going to do this, but they don't. And it's like, from my perspective, right? What's unclear to you? It's pretty simple. Like, you do this, this, and that. Come on, let's get going. But that's when I failed forward, and really just learned how to work with people. I thought I knew how to collaborate and work with people. I mean, I come from a hotel industry where all the masterminds, right? The accounting department to the operations to the sales department to the finance. I mean, there's so many masterminds there, and you come together, right, to provide a memorable experience to the guests, right? I thought I could do it, but that's when I learned and I realized I don't really know how to lead people. I don't really know how to work. Like, what does that really mean? So I started to really kind of slow down, which was really hard for me. Slow down and really face, right, one age at a time. Like, what is your why? What motivates you? Right? What makes sense to you? Right? Even if it's just stepping, you know, one step, right, forward, that's a progress to them. Or maybe someone that can just run for 10 feet, you know, a day, great. But what does that mean to them? And I think, you know, I still continue to learn in that area. But making that decision and really leaning on to like to learn that area just really helped me, because I still remember May 2022. In March, my beloved grandmother passed away at 103. I went to Japan, spent time with my families, and got to say goodbye to my grandmother. It made me realize, hey, you know what? Like, I can really do this. So I remember coming back here. That's when I was a team leader. So I wanted to hit key leader. I wanted that title, top producer, right? And I wanted the commission level increase, not with the team, but by myself, right? What can I do? So I decided to hit those three things at one time before the conference. Making that decision is always scary, always. But for some reason, you know, something about you saying it out loud, right? You saying it to yourself, I made a decision of hitting this. For some reason, like the universe, whatever you want to call it, right? They kind of support you. And the things that I learned so far about working smarter, working with people, really leaning on to others, and just really truly have fun with these resources and the tools that we get. We're so lucky to have them, right? So why don't we use them, right? So the 2 months of the run that I had, I was never tired. I was never exhausted, was not burnt out. I took 3 vacations in the month of July. But at the end of July, I hit it, right? Those 3 things. And it felt so good, right? It felt so good to be able to do that without not being burnt out or not being exhausted, but being very fulfilled, right? Of not just where I want to go, but being like, right, that reality checkpoint of like, hey, this is where I am, and this is what I'm going to do. So, you know, I continue to learn that phase. I'm definitely going to, during that phase right now, trying to get onto that agency owner one with the team. And I continue to just really lean on and really get to know one person at a time, and just embracing that part. And I hope that I answered everything.
You did great. You did great. I mean, you were just you're speaking to your part, and just to kind of identify, the Stockdale paradox, like, because I think you talk through it, right? It's like you have to have this like unwavering faith
Mhm.
that you can and will prevail in the end, but also at the same point in time, paradoxically, regardless of like difficulties, regardless of circumstance, like at the exact same time, have like a personal discipline to unobjectively like confront brutal facts and realities of like a current situation, whatever it is. And you've embodied that of like, hey, I am all go. I don't know how to slow down with people, but I have this unwavering faith that I can do it. I will do it. I will overcome it. And like you said, like, we have, even paradoxically, we have you on a call talking about your previous breakthroughs. And at the same point in time, you're very much in a position of like key leader to agency owner, which I for anyone who's in this fight, key leader to basically around like a $75,000 a month submit agency is like, that is one of the most difficult parts of the job, because you're just learning so many things all at once. You'll look back and you'll be like, I learned a lot there. It wasn't like, it's not hard now, but it's such a compression of education all at one time. And you're in that. And so I can't say enough. I'm proud of you and your work ethic. I'm proud of the maturation that you've shown as a leader and your ability to speak to these things and have that, like I said, that, Stockdale paradox, for those, because I'm going to get a gajillion messages on here, From Good to Great by Jim Collins. Great book. One of the principles that they teach in there. Brandon and Casey talk about it. Anything else real quick before we pass it on to Mark and Mary that you wanted to speak to?
Yeah, just real quick. I know there will be some people who are listening to me and thinking, oh, I understand what you're saying. But really, like, don't be afraid and face your limitations, right? Know yourself. Embrace that fear and the failures, right? Because that's only going to be the stepping stone, right, to where you want to go. And that's going to be your story. But remember, this business is maybe for us, maybe for our family, but we don't do it alone, right? So really lean into your mentors and collaborate with your amazing, teammates, right? Your, what we call running buddies here. And really confirm your beliefs, right? Commit to your why. And that's how you can make that decision. So thank you so much, everybody, for allowing me to hopefully to bring something to you guys today.
Bro, you brought a lot. You crushed it. Also in the chat, you are apparently the queen of Hawaii right now. There's so much Ohana going on in the chat. So just be prepared. The next time you go to conference, every person from Hawaii is gonna like chase you down and give you that love. So there you go. Speaking of the future celebrities, I told Mark, I was like, dude, you're going to be everyone's best friend in this very specific sub niche. Mark and Mary Cholak, champions of culture. Mary, did you win Miss Congeniality? Is that what your award was for the agency?
I did. It was a co-winner with the dear and wonderful Becky Snyder. I'll take that all day long.
Yeah, that's a great co-winner. Also, yeah, I'm sure she, I don't know, she's probably like Miss whatever, University of Georgia, Alpha Chi
Georgia
Omega.
Peach, I'm sure.
Yeah. Alpha Chi Omega's like nomination for homecoming or something. So yeah, that's a great person to be there with. But you all have been champions of culture, stewards of culture, a real unique experience in that, like, you are a collaborative unit, but you are individuals within that unit, very much have your own, thoughts, opinions, sometimes even like talking about what we're talking about, where like you can both not agree on something, but still decide to move forward, still decide to carry the flag forward. I'm going to drop another book here really quickly, but Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni. Like, they talk about that, right? In the absence of trust, there's an inability to disagree. and you guys have such profound trust with each other. And it's truly inspiring to watch. So if you guys don't mind, let's talk about your experience at Symmetry, what you've learned and what it's been like.
Yeah, for sure. So we talk about making decisions, right? And decisions have to come because something isn't working out, right? If everything just happened, it'd be great. But some of my obstacles and barriers are business related, but often they had little to do with the business and everything to do with us. So when we've been faced with the wall of resistance, sitting and waiting for it to move has proven fruitless. And I know this because we've done it. 2 years, we're team leaders. Okay. So I get it. It may even make that wall bigger.
Well, time out. I'm not going to let you like self-diminish that much. You've already hit month 1 of Key Leader in February. We're in March. You've already got the submit unique riders to also hit first month of agency owner. You're heading in the right direction to double up on having your final month of Key Leader and have it also overlap and be your first month of agency owner. So like, yeah, you're team leaders, but you're like, listen, there's a place for humility, but like, let's also recognize how great you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But the point is that like sitting around and waiting isn't the right approach, and that the wall gets bigger and stronger and more of a mountain. So it becomes harder to climb. So in my experience over the last 2 years around this business, if you want to get through the tough times, and if you really, really want the life that's on the other side of that wall, I mean, and we're seeing it lived by some incredible people in front of us. But if you want that, you need a breakthrough. But be prepared that it comes with a little bit of a cost. There's a breakthrough, but as Tony Robbins says, it probably requires a breakdown. So yeah, it may be emotional, on the floor, crying in the corner type of breakdown. I've definitely had these. And if you're on our team, I've had them. Or it might be searching for LinkedIn jobs late at night, thinking there's got to be something easier than this. And I've done that too. And it may be that the universe delivers you a sequence of events that really only a screenwriter could have woven together. So those are all real breakdowns. And
let's pause right there, because like, I mean, you've literally had some wild things happen, quite literally, even to like this morning where you're like, hey, can someone do this thing for me? And I was like, did Andy get hurt at lacrosse? And you're like, yeah, he got hurt at lacrosse. And Andy was just on Zoom with us yesterday showing off his new, arm and elbow pads, but like arm and elbow pads don't protect you from getting a concussion. Yeah. Like, Andy, I watched the noggin, but like, like if you wouldn't mind, like kind of like speak to your dramedy of events that happened while you're like, hey, we're deciding to make a change, and then obstacle, like speak through that, because I think some people will relate with what you've gone through.
Yeah, for sure. You want to take that?
Sure. Yeah. So last fall, we were getting very serious and very intentional in getting our schedule and getting everything in line and making or gaining the momentum, for our team leader and key leader run. And as you were saying, Chris, there was a sequence of events that happened. We'll start around October. One of our dogs passed away in a freak accident while I was out hunting with my son, Zach. And, it was obviously very traumatic and kind of a rock bottom type of experience, as many of you would guess. But with that, we just pulled back as a family for about 3 days and just made sure that everyone was okay, emotionally and mentally. And then we really started to move forward, not that we just put it behind us, but it was really time to move forward. And I always think of Casey's saying, you can't steer a parked car. And I love that saying, because it applies to not only business, right? It applies to your personal life too. So you got to put the wheels in motion to be able to make adjustments and steer. So and we thought that was it, right? Life goes on and we continue to move forward. then in November around Thanksgiving, I was again out hunting with Zach, and we had an awesome day. It was just a gorgeous day out in the woods. And at the end of the day, we got back to the parking lot, and I called Mary and I told her we'd be home in a few hours. And Zach even asked Mary to make him his favorite homemade mac and cheese, which I have to admit, it's my favorite too. But, we hung up, and 15 minutes later, I was in a head-on collision, rolled and totaled my truck. Zach and I had to climb out of the sunroof, and, another traumatic experience. Thankfully, both Zach and I just had some bumps and bruises. The other people were fine as well, but again, here we go again, and we're right back into that. And we took a few more days to just be grateful and reflect that accident wasn't nearly as bad as it could have been. So pick up the pieces, and we're moving forward again. And we're really getting into the swing of normalcy again. And in early December, a couple of weeks before Christmas, Mary and I are working together, and we have separate offices. And I hear her saying, "Oh my gosh, we've got a $5,000 charge in our bank account." And this time it wasn't hunting gear. It was serious. Somebody had hacked our account. And 2 weeks before Christmas, we're scrambling to get money to buy Christmas presents. We had to open a new account, change all of our billing, commissions from our carriers, all of it. We couldn't even access our commissions as we worked. But we pulled together again as a family unit. We marched forward, and we just continued to address those things as they came up.
Yeah. And like I said, and then Andy, who were showing off sneakers yesterday with each other, trying to see who has better sneakers, gets bonked in the head right before this call. And so it's that perspective of, this is my current situation, but my current situation doesn't have to be my ongoing reality. And you've done such a good job with that. Mary, was there more that you wanted to speak to, though, about like the breakdown and because you're a scientist, right?
Yeah.
Right. Like
Right.
Mary and I will talk sometimes, and sometimes we're just like shouting at each other, agreeing, because we just have such a common understanding. But like as a scientist, you view things differently than people due to training. So go ahead and educate us a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. The breakdown, the emotional experience has to happen. It's not where you want to live. And letting those breakdowns be your story isn't how you become successful. But it is fun to tell the story when you've gotten on the other side of it, right? Mark even said when we were going through each of those things, he's like, wow, can you imagine like sharing with people like how we did our first month of team leader, like leading up to these things? And it's like, when you start to think of it that way, it changes your perspective, and you realize that it is a journey. Mm-hmm. But as a scientist, like Chris was saying, and you don't need to be a scientist to understand this. Let's just be clear. This is a very simple concept, but and it would apply to anybody. But my analytical mind showed me that breakthroughs needed a breakdown, as in separating things into small parts, taking it all down to the basics and looking at the fundamentals, dismantling the situation. That's what the breakdown is for. And it's so powerful. So when production isn't what you want it to be, or when your recruiting isn't sticking, or you've got a big chargeback, or when you doubt that you've got what it takes to make it here, because we've all had those doubts, you just have to break it down into its very simplest parts. And it's really no coincidence that the simplest parts in this business, literally with Symmetry, are outlined in the 4 cornerstones and the 4 keys to a successful week. Like, it just comes back to those. So my POV, as my kids say, or point of view, is that when you have the breakdown, the emotional response to hitting that wall, and you've decided that it's worth the fight, break it down and take a hard look. Like Raina was saying, take a hard look. Are the 4 cornerstones and 4 keys in place? Are there 1 or 2 that you're not committing to? Where's that gap? Is it resources, association? Maybe it's activity or personal development. For us, it's almost always in our schedule. Our calendar needs to be redesigned. So for you, it might be different. The missing piece or pieces, will be exposed when you thoughtfully break it down, but it takes you taking a hard look and being really honest with yourself and maybe getting some feedback and some insight from those people that you care about, and those people that are doing what you're doing or are your running buddies, like Raina and Janelle, the four of us talk, and the rest of our team that we have an amazing group of leaders all kind of growing together. Not one of us made a breakthrough in seconds. Not one of us came to this conclusion to decide on this business in minutes and really live it out in minutes or seconds. It took us a lot of time and intentional effort. So that intentional effort, it took both the breakdown, it took the breaking it down, and it definitely took the decision to stay committed.
Love it. Appreciate it. Mark, tell us about your part, because you've got some really good one-to-one metaphors here that I was remember. Help us understand just your perspective real quick.
Yeah. So anyone who knows me knows I'm an avid outdoorsman and archer. Resistance to me is analogous to shooting a bow, right? The more tension or draw weight that you have on the bow, the faster and the farther forward that the arrow is going to fly. So if you only pull back halfway, the arrow flies slower and it goes half as far. In my experience in this business, greater resistance actually leads to greater breakthroughs and greater success. And that's really, really hard to think about when you're in the moment. When you have these things just hitting you left and right, sometimes it seems it's hard to think about that. But when you do break through the resistance, there's so much momentum that keeps you moving forward and achieving more, just like the arrow shot out of the bow. But there's also another really important component, which is emotional stability. So when all those events happened last fall, emotional stability is what really, really helped us to keep moving forward, not only in our personal life, but in our business. And, it's the same when you're shooting a bow. If you don't have emotional stability, you will miss your target. Your mind won't allow your body to properly execute the shot. In our business, if you're up and down emotionally, you lose that forward momentum that you created when you were breaking through the resistance. If your highs are too high and your lows are too low, you may get off track again. So to me, emotional stability is like the sight on the bow. It keeps you focused on the target and to the next goal.
I mean, there are books about that. Like, I'm trying to remember the Josh Metcalf book, but I think it's Chop Wood, Carry Water. But they talk about the bow analogy of like, I want to shoot it from really far away, and I want the big bow, right? And it's that like, no, you need to shoot it close, and you need to do the kid's bow. Will you talk about that just for a quick second?
Yeah. Emotional stability and consistency, right? That goes hand in hand. If you're consistent, meaning you show up every day, you make your dials, you set your appointments, run the appointments, you're recruiting, you will hit the long-term goals. And even though sometimes you may not be 100%, right? It's unrealistic to even think that you're always going to be 100%. You might not be feeling well for the day, or something pops up, or something's going on, but that's okay. Just show up and work. It may feel mundane sometimes too, to take it back to the bow analogy. When you're trying to hit a target at extreme range, 70, 80, 90 yards, you have to shoot to literal boredom at 10 yards to hone your form, your stance, your follow through, all of that. And then when you step back to 80 yards, your arrow hits the mark because you did the work up close. At that point, distance doesn't even matter.
Spot on. So we have Miss Popularity from Hawaii, Miss Congeniality Science, everyone's favorite bow hunter. Now we're going to bring in everyone's favorite person from Long Island / Trinidad, Janelle Jamat. JJ, take us home. Talk about your experience, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Mary, Mark, Raina, I really enjoyed your story. I'm trying to figure out in my head how I'm going to follow through with what you guys just said and match up to that. So here
You'll
goes
do great.
expectations.
You'll do great.
I just let me start with this. First, thank you for having us here to voice what our journey has looked like so far here in Symmetry. And of course, that's an extension of a gratitude towards the owners of this organization and the people that are here to support us and get us where we're going. Let's start with the 5 voice orders, right? I'm a typical pioneer kind of guardian individual, a little bit different than Mary, Mark, and Raina. And I have some similarities as well. I speed too, just like the typical pioneers do. And Chris Clark would say, Jan, slow down. Okay, slow down. You've got this. And then when I hear this voice that's on my shoulder that says, Chris Clark is saying, slow down, or another mentor, because I have many other mentors here, guardian kicks in. And I lean into discomfort of all the things that I'm trying to accomplish so that I can become emotionally stable and think logically through pain, through discomfort, through the gap. Great book, by the way, Gap in the Game, right? Learning the difference between the two was something that I discovered here at Symmetry. And what do I mean by that? A little bit about my journey. First came in, saw the vision, totally got it. I was like, this is awesome, okay? I want to be business owner. I want to make sure my family's okay. We're good to go. I'm excited about it. Let's do it, right? So I'm jumping in head on. Tell me what I got to do. I'm going to do it. And I did. Did I know exactly what I was doing? If we're looking at the apprenticeship square, kind of unconscious, not necessarily aware, but willing and motivated to show up if I have to every single day to get this done. Fast forward a bit, end up in the Pritchett Agency's Memphis conference, which was like the best thing I had experienced for quite some time. I was extremely excited to meet people, the Smith brothers and Pritchett, Clark, and every other mentor that everyone wants to get in tune with. And in the midst of the first day of arriving, we had a dinner that was asked of us to join. And I obviously was there with the group and I got a phone call. My phone actually was dead. But when I did get it on, I had a missed phone call from my husband. I left my husband take care of my 3 kids. I said, I'll be back going to this conference here. And I'm excited. I can't wait. So calling back is about maybe 9 p.m. Central Memphis time. And I had to walk out of the restaurant. And I think it was raining that night. And I just told Raina and Becky, guys, I'll be right back. I gotta call my husband. So I call him and he answers and he goes, we were in an accident. And my heart literally just dropped because all I'm thinking are my kids okay? What happened? Where are you guys? Are you in the hospital? And so can you imagine being so excited to be around Brad Smith, Matt Smith, Chris Clark, Omar Diaz, Mary, Raina, all these new people. And at the same exact time, feel like I'm in the pit of despair because something just happened to my family. I didn't even know what to think, but all I can do is just, say, hey, are you guys okay? Which they were. Car was not. I think I remember texting Chris and said, I think I lost my range over there, but that's
Lost
okay.
your range. First of all, we need to, if Joelle, if you're on the call, man, anytime you make that phone call ever again, be like, we're fine. That's what you say first. Everyone say it. Yeah. Then you say we wrecked the range. Don't flip it around. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So I was like, are you fine? That's what I want to know. And they were, for the most case, a little bit shooken up. But knowing at that moment that everyone fortunately made it okay through that, I could care about the car. I can get another car. I don't care. Made me realize on that night, I don't have a lot of time to play around with. There was another situation in that specific conference that happened. I didn't know it was going to happen for some people here that are new. I was actually, I think, #1 rookie writer of the year for that particular agency. And I got an award on stage that was handed to me by the Smith brother. Okay. And I felt so honored to receive that because I was just doing what was told to be done, right? Don't do this and X happens. I wasn't trying to achieve that, but that's what I got. What's the whole point here? Fast forward a couple of months later, we get challenged with this thing called the Chase the Ace Challenge promotional trip that's going to come up. And long and behold, it's something that's going to be stemming from the Smith Agency, which is something that Matt and Brad and the 130s that are within that agency are going to give us to accomplish. My heart at that moment was doing the exact same thing all over again. Oh my God, I'm so excited. Can I do this to impact not just myself, my family, but also the family that's trying to help come forward and help us be better? Can I honor them? Can I honor our organization in a positive way? Right? And I love a challenge. Please challenge me. Let's do it. Right? But the point is, I'm having these emotions that are going left and right, and I'm trying to stay within the essence of the gap and what's really needed for us to be successful and fulfilled, as Chris Clark has said, in our lives on both ends of the stick, business and personal. So just I sat with myself actually during that time of getting the challenge and also, getting the award. And I said, Jan, you need to figure out not your weaknesses, but the areas that you can improve every single day, one by one, to be a better version of yourself, so that when you accomplish things like the Chase the Ace experience, which is basically a trip where if you do X, Y, and Z per the 130's direction, you will get rewarded a trip with your family. We just did that last week. We were in Mexico, Raina and Chris and all the other families. So what I'm trying to get to is, first, I had to make a decision, right? Do I want to know my true self? And what does that look like? Am I going to be honest with not just me, maybe my family and my mentors about who I want to be, but also who I am right now? Right? And I sat in I love books. Raina, I love to read, and she's my buddy, and now she loves to read with me. We love books, right? And I took it on that I'm going to read every single day, X amount of books to figure this stuff out. I'm going to build a VTO, a vision traction organizer type of document that my mentors can see. Jan wants to do this. And I planned it out. Here goes that guardian again, right? I planned it out as best as I could with the support of people around me and my accountability partners. And then I put action to it. Now I'm in the gap again. I'm in this gap again, right? I'm a key leader I'm on my arrow run. And I'm looking at, okay, how do I lean into this discomfort of not being there yet? But knowing that I will be there, and I am probably there in my future self, I just need to go through that day-to-day, every day feeling of, it's okay, do the small things, you'll get there. Recruiting, massive recruiting. What's next? We're going to Asheville. Let's get pumped up, right? Can I use this Asheville trip to propel myself into that next ceiling, break through that resistance, right? So I'm constantly sitting here in that same dichotomy, but I'm trying to keep that emotional stability and think logically through what we want to call the pain, the gap. Okay. So, I can tell you tons of stories about things that are happening to me day in and day out. Seriously, came back from Mexico, my washing machine broke. I had to go buy a washing. No, I can't wash my clothes. Like, we got 5 people in this house. This is problematic.
Right.
But I still need to buy a washing machine and attend training calls and recruit and produce, because that's what we do here. We own stuff. And I am proud to do that every day if it means that I'm going to get the time back with my family for as long as I can in the future. That's what I'm willing to do. And so I'm really, really passionate about learning me, the gap, and mastering this every little step that I need to, because we're going to have this up and down cycle that Nate talked about today, right? It's going to happen anyway. We might as well love being in the gap and figure out how to figure that stuff out.
Love it. Man, so lucky to constantly be working with you guys. I was like typing notes if you guys saw my screen. I just wanted to like kind of just summarize a couple of things and my thoughts on everything that you all said, because you all are brilliant and had great insight on things. One of the things I want to say is that like the golden rule, right, is flawed in all sincerity. It's flawed because it's self-serving in a way. Right? It's self-serving and it's incompleteness, right? We don't want to treat others as you would want to be treated. We want to treat people as they want to be treated. And if you don't understand that, and if you don't know how people want to be treated, don't assume, ask them. But also, if we're on the other side of that and we're not maybe being treated the way we want to be treated, maybe we're not showing the universe, right? We teach and show people the world. We teach and show day-to-day interactions how we want to treat a lot of the time by how we show up for ourselves, by how we navigate the day. And so many of us suffer in our minds so much more than we do in reality. I was teaching my daughter, still working on putting her hair in a ponytail. It was new. And I had to say, hey, honey, this isn't hard. This is just new. And it's okay to be frustrated. You can tie your shoes. That was way harder. You can ride a bike. That was way harder. This isn't hard. This is just new. And it's okay to be frustrated, but it's not hard. It's just new. And I think we learned so much, but just a couple of other notes that I had here. Well, Jan said it, right? Like spring fling, first conference, guys. If you're going to Leader Summit, if you qualify for Leader Summit and you're on the fence, go. Okay. If you haven't been to Denver and you hear all these people talking about a national conference, and that's not for me. I don't need that. Rah, rah. Yeah, you do. Go. Okay. Because all the people here that are successful, all the people here that are fulfilled, you know, that's a big word that Raina and I talk about a lot. It's a very deep, meaningful word. They go to those things. But here's the biggest thing, talking about contradictions, talking about paradoxes. I just wrote down some paradoxes of successful people. Successful people are polite, but they're completely unafraid to rock the boat. Every person here on this meeting will tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Right? They're polite, but they will tell me if I'm doing something wrong. They're not afraid about being nice. They're more concerned about being kind and considerate, which means they'll rock the boat sometimes. Successful people, paradoxically, are deeply passionate, yet they're rational and objective about their work. Successful people are convergent and divergent thinkers. They have the ability to think factually and abstractly. Successful people are both energetic and calm. Successful people like to work and play. Successful people are naive and smart. Successful people are humble and proud. These four amazing people that we got to hear from today embody all of that. And I encourage all of you all on this call today to lean into that, lean into the paradoxes, lean into the dichotomies, lean into the contradictions, because it's worth it. Walt Whitman said, do I contradict myself? Maybe I do. I contain multitudes, right? And that's exactly that. All of us are multitudinous. You don't have to live an either or life. You can live a yes and life. So let's go out there and yes and the rest of this week so we can yes and the rest of this month and have a yes and year. I love you guys. I appreciate all of you all for being on here. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Thank you so much. Let's go. Bye.